Hey everyone, welcome back to Reading with Tatiana. Today I'm reviewing As the Lemon Tree Goes by Zoulfa Katouh, and I gave this book a 5 out of 5. Today, my Booktuber Shoutout today goes out to Hannah Suzanne. I came across her Booktube channel. I was looking at newbie Booktube tags, and she's new to Booktube. Her first video is a Booktube newbie tag, so I'll link her channel down below if you want to check it out, learn a bit about why she joined Booktube, and show her some support. And as always, if you're watching this video, I always will appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and comment down below if you've read this book. As a Lemon Tree Grows was published last year in 2022, and the genre is my favorite genre, which is historical fiction with focus on the Syrian civil war. A bit about the author Zoulfa Katouh. I thought it was really cool because she is actually born in Calgary, which is the city I live in, and this book is her love letter to Syria. I couldn't find too much about her on the internet, unfortunately, so I can only read her Goodreads profile, which all she wanted to do was lay in her bed and eat sliced mango all day long with no single thought in her mind. But now she has two jobs. She's a scientist and an author. She has girl boss so close to the sun that she's burning, and she's lost the original plot, which I thought was an interesting bio, an interesting write-up. She didn't have a author website that I could find, but based on this Goodreads write-up, I feel she would be in the category of, if you watch my videos, that I think sometimes authors have really fun author bios on their websites, and I feel like she would fall under that category for sure. So let's get into the premise and the characters of the book. So as I said, this book is set against the backdrop of the Syrian civil war. I personally don't know too much about Syria and anything that's really happened in it, except that the US went there and they divided it and that kind of stuff. So yeah, this book was definitely interesting for me because as historical fiction is my favorite genre, I love it when I read a book where I can learn about the history, or in this case more recent history, the present history of an area, which I personally don't know a lot about. So we meet Salama. She is 18 years old and she was in school to be a pharmacist, and then this civil war broke out. So she was quickly recruited to become a doctor at the local hospital, and she's literally just a student, just recently an adult, and she is now helping these people every day that come in who are injured, not just soldiers or fighters, but everyday people like babies, seniors, that kind of stuff. So we learn about her struggles doing that. And very young at 18, she lives with Layla, who's her sister-in-law, who's also I think 18 and recently pregnant. And Salama's brother and dad was actually taken away because they went to a protest, and basically they were taken. And during this time in the Syrian civil war, if you're taken away to prison, you're probably being tortured. And also Salama's mom had died in a recent bombing. So it's just a really bleak start, a really bleak setting to the story. But even in times like this, you find little bits of hope. So Salama, Layla, they have this sisterly bond, obviously, and that kind of stuff. So Salama also has this I guess imaginary character, or it's personified because it's kind of like her inside voice, her inside fears, called Quaff or Quaif, which means fear. And basically it's someone that only Salama can see, but it's someone that kind of sparks her anxiety, her doubt, and that kind of stuff, and she kind of struggles with that. And during this process, she also meets Keenan, and basically he is also 18, and Keenan and Salama become fast friends, a bit of romance because this is a young adult's book, and they are very, very similar in that they connect over common interests and hobbies. However, they're so different because Salama feels like she's given the opportunity to be able to flee Syria as a refugee with her sister-in-law Layla, who's pregnant. But Keenan, who has two younger siblings, is very I was born and raised in Syria, my family died here, I will die here, and that kind of stuff. So this book kind of talks about how you have two people that have very different values and how they come to terms with that. And this book is just really great because actually I was kind of surprised because it's a young adult's book, but it was very graphic and gory in terms of the war and the injuries and stuff. But I think that's also important because it's not like you reach a certain age and you're allowed to see these things. These people, especially in these war zones, are they have to face these things really young. So just a warning, if you read this book, there are some graphic bits. common themes in this book, you can probably guess. I think the common themes are very evident just on the premise, is the idea of living in a war zone, what's that like, the day-to-day, the minutiae of the horror you see every day. But then the flip side, on finding hope in the little things, and finding laughter, because you just can't live in dread and fear all the time. It's like a very interesting duality that these characters live in, and just me reading it's like, wow, that's actually so wild. And then also I mentioned earlier the two characters, Salama and Keenan, having very different opinions on staying in the country and leaving the country, and that idea of patriotism, because I'm born in Canada, but my parents immigrated to Canada, and I wouldn't say I'm proud to be Canadian, but I'm grateful to be Canadian. I didn't do anything to be Canadian. I was just born here, so I don't really understand, or I can't really relate to the idea of being patriotic to a country. But I'm very thankful I live in a first world country that's developed. And then also the idea of family, losing family, your found family, and how these connections can give you hope during dire times. And then also the idea of, because Keenan and Salama are like kind of like the older responsible people in their family right now. So the idea of your duty to help others, the duty to self-sacrifice, even if it's something that you don't want to do, because you have to be responsible for your family. So these are all very common themes I found in the book, very heavy, and makes you really take a step back and reflect on your life. I gave this book a 5 out of 5, so there weren't too many things I didn't like. The only thing that I would say I didn't like about this book is because it is a young adult's book, the romance is a little cringe, but I think now I've read enough young adults romance books that I can see past it, or once I accept that's the reality of a young adult's romance, it's not too bad. The rest of the book was really enjoyable. What I liked was, like I said before, historical fiction. It's a book that made me Google things after the topic of Syria, the plight of refugees fleeing their country. And like for me, I really enjoyed this book because, yes, I hear about like war zones in Syria on the news, and it's very heavy, and you hear all these facts and figures. But when you read a book like this, even though it's fiction, it's obviously based off of some bits of reality. For me, it really personifies the facts and figures. It gives me more empathy for the situation, and that's what good writing does, right? Like I read it and I really feel for the situation or this area or these people. So these are things I really enjoy about the book. On Goodreads, this book on average of 4.5 on out of 5, which is very, very high, I would say. This book did come out last year though, so we'll see how it rates in a few years. Bad reviews where people struggle with the pacing of the book. I think, like, honestly, the book is so heavy topic-wise that I think if it was maybe written with a adult audience in mind, and maybe the pacing wouldn't feel so weird. I think because the issues that the topic is heavy and more adult-like, but then it's written for an adult audience, the pacing was a bit like all over the place. So I think there's like something in between that can maybe bridge that like weird pacing. I read this book for my book club with my coworkers, and a lot of people struggle with the writing style as well. People also didn't enjoy the Studio Ghibli references. I kind of enjoyed it because it made me just feel like, Studio Ghibli is a Japanese film studio / art studio, and these people in Syria have this Keenan Salama have this tie to this faraway place. So it just shows the power of art and creativity and how it just can speak across borders. So I really enjoyed that, but I know like my coworker really hated that because she was like, why did they keep referring to this like Japanese film studio? But I enjoyed that aspect of it. So I guess different strokes for different folks, right? Good reviews where people thought that it was just beautifully written. It puts a like it highlights and showcases this area, this story of this region. They love the characters, and they also love the, I don't want to say a twist, but there definitely is a twist that I did not see coming. So people really enjoyed that as well. Why I think you should read this book? I think you should read it if you want to learn more about life in the war zone. You want to learn about Syria. You want to learn what's like being young in the war zone, and also the plight of refugees as well. Now I'll share how this book made me feel, because if you ask me a week, a year, 5 years from now, I probably won't remember exactly what the book was about, but I also remember how it made me feel. So this book, As Lemon Trees Grows, by Zoulfa Katouh, it made me feel very heavy. It's a heavy topic. It makes me sad because the characters are very young, and just to go through all of that, at such a young age and being forced to grow up really quickly can be very heavy, so it was a heavy book. Thank you for watching tonight and my book review for As the Lemon Tree Grows. If you read this book, I'd love to hear what you thought down below. If you made it till the end, please hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.